Welcome to another edition of Africa Sideways. My name's Big Six Simpson and we're in something big and powerful today. The brand new V6 Ford Everest, ladies and gentlemen. Now at first I thought they're going to put the Amarok, a 3-liter V6 diesel in here, which is tried and tested, fantastic engine. But they pulled the engine out of the American stable of Ford, and it's the 3-liter V6 Power Stroke. Similar numbers on this engine, 184 kilowatts, and you can feel every one of those kilowatts when she gets going. It's got all the bells and whistles that you'd imagine from a car like this. Having driven this car for almost a week now, it feels, it's not often that you can tangibly feel differences between different models in the same different specs in the same model. I had the 2-liter bi-turbo a month ago, which was phenomenal as well, but did feel a bit different to this car. And I'm not just talking about the engine. It almost feels like it was two different design teams working on it. For starters, the gear lever is different. This is the lever off the new Ford Ranger Raptor. The steering wheel feels different. The suspension feels a little bit more crisp. Everything just feels dialed up a bit, which is what you'd expect from the premium edition. Most of the times these manufacturers will just put a badge on a car and just call it the premium edition without actually putting anything premium extra into it. But this one, you can feel the difference. The park sensor beeps an adequate amount. The seatbelt warning and all that is just adequate amount of beeping, which in this day and age is golden in my mind with these overzealous cars. The handling on this car is great. The wider wheel travel really helps through the corners, and you don't get as much body roll as some of the competition. And the competition for this car is no longer in the sort of mid-range 7-seater SUV market. This thing is coming for the luxury 7-seater market. It's placed the same price as an entry-level Toyota Prado, Land Cruiser Prado, which the Everest always used to be the premium Everest always used to be a little bit cheaper than the base level Toyota Prado, but that gap is narrower now, and you can feel where the money is gone. This feels like a $1.5 million car. And even though it's got 21-inch rims, the handling is fantastic. Let's put it around this corner here. You see no tires. You get a bit of body roll, but generally speaking, it is all good in the hood. And you get a nice big map here. The sketch pad's great for kids. And another interesting difference between this and the bi-turbo is this one has a rev limiter over here. Whereas for love nor money, I could not find the setting to get the rev limit on the bi-turbo, which I found to be very interesting. Just another so I would go as far as saying there's an updated software package in this over the standard Everest, which is a bonus as well. Here we are at the highway speeds, 104, 105 k's an hour. In terms of wind noise, I'd say they're pretty similar. I wouldn't call this the quietest cabin in the world, but not the noisiest either. Judge for yourselves. But really at this speed, you can amble along. It's not actually that thirsty. The problem with having a 3-liter V6 is it's such a fun car to drive that you end up driving it more spiritedly and the fuel economy goes up. But if you drive this conservatively, you can easily get 10 liters per 100 on the highway. But if you're not doing that, you're going to be more closer to 13. It is really a fun place. But the main attraction of this car is this engine. Let's open it up a bit here. Oh. Now this feels a lot more planted. I drove the Defender twin turbo straight 6 3-liter, and that felt quite topsy-turvy. It was the short wheelbase version, and that felt quite topsy-turvy and not really happy at high speed. But this is Really here, sitting at 100, 120, 130, and it just sits perfectly. Okay, so we've got active cruise control on this, which is really a nice touch. I can set it to follow the guy in front of me. And you can also have the lane assist on, so you can take your hand off the steering wheel for, I think, up to 30 seconds. So the car's basically driving itself, and then you'll get a little chime to say, put your hand back on the steering wheel. Where's the chime? That's the chime to say. I think by law, you can't have an autonomous car that drives itself for more than 30 seconds. So here, I'll take it off. Let's see how it handles this corner now, ladies and gentlemen. This is always a good test for autonomous driving. Yeah, it gets around there fine. Now it's telling me to put my hands on the wheel. I'm going to time. How long was that between? Yeah, I've got my hand on the steering wheel now. I'll take it off and off again. So yeah, I will say this autonomous driving, every time I get in a newer model of the car, I see it improves every time. Let's check out the windscreen wipers. Oh well, I've got to put some water in there, so that's not going to really do much. But yeah, the autonomous driving works a treat. Everything really works a treat in this car. This is one of the best Fords I've come across in years. It feels solidly made. It feels like a Platinum product. They've got a great engine in here. Time will tell on the reliability of this engine, because on the recent JD Powers reliability study for faults over the last 3 years, Audi and Ford didn't fare well. They were towards the back of the class. So that's an area, if Ford can really tighten up on their reliability numbers, they're going to be a very, very hard prospect to deal with, because they've got the best infotainment system in the class. Four-wheel drive system's fantastic. We took it to Atlanta Sand Dunes with the Prado 150, and to be honest, this thing was having its way with the 150.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Sure, the 150 is a 3-litre 4-cylinder, but this V6 power is just... There's not many 7-seaters on the market that are going to hang with this car. And if you're towing, this thing is really the truck for you, because it's got much more power than you actually need. If you're not towing, the 2-litre bi-turbo is fine. But if you are going to be carrying heavy loads, doing long overlanding, this 3-litre V6 is the one to go for. And with Ford, there's a lot of dealerships around Africa. Whereas if you go for, say, a Mitsubishi or one of the smaller brands, it might be a slightly more reliable truck on paper, but you're not going to have as much backup. There we go. Let's check this out now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how the brakes work. I'm really impressed with these tires. They've got the Goodyear highway tires on here. And they work a treat. I had them down to 1 bar on the sand, no dramas whatsoever. Now we've got Captain Slow Coach in front of us. Anyway, so yeah, it is a lot of fun to drive this car. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see a Raptor with this engine coming up soon, because you could easily tune this thing up to 200 kilowatts and it would be perfect for the Raptor, because that twin turbo petrol, it really sucks gas hard. So this would be a good compromise for people that want performance, but they don't need complete, insane, pushing 300 kilowatts of performance. But it is great to see Ford bringing out these big, powerful engines that can really put the power down. Oh, here we go. Let's see how the acceleration up the hill. You see. I mean, it really is a lot of fun, and not much body roll here through the corners. I think those big tires help, and it just goes all day long, ladies and gents. Really is a pleasure to drive the new Ford Everest 3-litre Power Stroke. I mean, that's got a nice ring to it. I believe this engine was in the Ford F-150. American viewers, please tell me what your thoughts are of this engine and the reliability over there. I'm sure you'll have a bit more knowledge than us. Over in South Africa, we've been familiar with the 3.25 cylinder, which was in the Ranger for a long time. And then there's the new bi-turbo 2-litre, and there's been a 2.2-litre that's been around forever. You hear mixed reports of that. I heard a guy who's had an Everest 2.2-litre for 5 years, no issues. Apparently he was saying the 3.2-litre gives more issues on the gearboxes, but it really depends who you speak to with Ford. Some people have no issues, and some people have to replace turbos and stuff. So it's one of those sort of mysterious brands. But one thing that Ford always do is produce exciting, fun cars that can bring a smile to your face, and this thing is no different. Oh, and with an engine note like that, what more do you need? So I can go from a sensible mommy's wagon to a really a bit of a boy racer, and you decide which one you want. Let's see the cornering here. That's pretty tight, not much tire squeal at all. Yeah, let's turn the traction control off here, because I was able to get the back end a little bit out on this car, which is always a bit of fun. Oh, you see, it wants to come. Certainly wants to come. Everybody's invited in the new Ford Everest. So what's this up against? It's really up against the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado. Price-wise, that's who they're gunning for. But having said that, at top of the range, Isuzu MU-X is sort of 850,000 Rand, pushing 900,000 Rand. The one that's considerably cheaper is the Mitsubishi Pajero, which I'm always raving on about. You can get one of those for just over 800,000, so that's going to be 300,000 Rand cheaper than this. But in terms of luxury and infotainment and head-turning ability, this thing has got it in bucket loads. It looked really good in this sort of off-white, pearly white. And it's really laid out simplistically. There's not too many extra buttons. The Land Cruiser, you're a bit overdone on buttons. The one thing I don't like about this is you got to access the diff lock from the touchpad, which if you got muddy fingers and stuff, you want to have your diff lock button on this on your driving mode thing. I mean, how hard would it be just to have an extra, instead of having this automatic stop start here, you put your diff lock there, or your parking sensor. But other than that, and also it's got this automatic stop start, which I don't think actually really saves much petrol. But other than that, it's perfect. Look at that. She's a bit of a goer. There is an optional 18-inch rim, which I would definitely take for this car if you plan to do any kind of off-roading. And you could really, great for towing a caravan. A fantastic holiday vehicle. So we took her to Atlanta Sand Dunes. Let's see how she rolls. So with the Platinum edition you get this, the boot can be operated with a remote control, and interestingly enough previous generations have hit the top of my carport, but this one doesn't, so it's more user friendly for low carports. You can also control the seats here. You can put these puppies down automatically, which is what you'd expect from a premium model. Use the switch there, very much like the Prado. And with the back seats down you get loads of space, plenty for the whole family. One thing I did notice, which I'm not a big fan of, is when you close this thing, and I put my hand here and there's no sensor there to pick up that my hand's in the way, which I find very interesting that it would pass the safety inspection with that kind of thing. Let's try that again. I'm gonna sit here and close it and see if it still goes down. Okay, so that's a bit of a safety concern, ladies and gentlemen. There's no sensor to see that there's anything in the way, and this thing will just... Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what happens if something gets stuck in here, how much pressure is exerted. There's a bit of a dent, so it does have a stopping mechanism, but you'd expect it to have a sensor to pick up anything. Okay, so it's not hard, so at least they've got a slow down mechanism, but I'd expect them to have a sensor as well, just to make sure that the coast is clear. A bit of rust on the tow bar already. So interestingly enough, on the bi-turbo they got a plastic bash plate, but on the Platinum they got a nice steel bash plate. But they put a steel bash plate on, but they got 21-inch rims, so I'm not sure what to make of that. That on the more luxurious model with the 21-inch rims you put the steel bash plate on, but the Sport edition with the bi-turbo, plastic. For the cheapness of a bash plate, why not just put the steel one on everything? Other than that, not much to fault on this vehicle. Great off-road, yeah. What do you think, flappers?
Yeah, fully agree.